There's the little one that I wanted. Now, where did I put the pencils? Pencil. Where do I have an eraser? I don't know where I have an eraser, Audrey. Where's an eraser, Audrey? Do you know? Audrey, can you help me? Audrey, can you help me find an eraser? Because I think I left all of my erasers out in the camper. I think I did. Oh, poop. Alright, let's keep looking. Let's see if there's anything, if there's any magic. You can,
That one. Hi.
All right. You go over there. You go over here. See how that goes. Hey, Janice. How you doing, my lovely? I feel like I probably should have brought in my compass too, but we're gonna wing it, I think. Wait for that to dry. Get everything there. Let's get the picture up. What we're gonna paint. How you doing? How's everybody doing? Everybody doing all right? I hope you're doing well. I'm glad you're here. Ah, hi. Hey, Sharon. Sharon's here too. Yay. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. It's good to see you. I am just prepping everything. Hello, Cindy. Anybody else who's on here that I haven't said hello to yet? Hello, I'm glad you're here. So, Jerry Lynn, oh, you're getting rain. That's so wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I am so, so glad to hear that. That must be amazing. Hi. Hey, Wilma. How you doing? So, here's a shocker. Hey, Nancy. How you doing? Here's a shocker. I am still obsessed with this pattern. And now I want to try it on more stuff and play with more colors and everything. Now, I've already played with the colors that I'm going to use today. And I'm actually thinking now, you know what? I'm going to make a change of colors. I was going to do these colors and do kind of like a nice fluorescent gradient. But I also have my purples sitting here from the purple piece. And I think that might be kind of cool to do a whole bunch of swoops that are all gradients. And then I just have to decide how I'm going to start them. So let's see if, number one, if I have enough paints in all of these. I think I do. Got enough in there, enough in there. Yeah, I think I have just enough paints. I mean, I probably have more than enough, but they're all getting a little bit lower except for the really light one. So we will do that. So things are going to be a little bit different for these tutorials going forward. One of the things that I found out is that when I am trying too far in advance to come up with a topic or something to cover, my inspiration is very, very hard to dig into. I'm even finding it with the mug parties. You know, trying to recreate a design that I've already done that I'm really not feeling connected with anymore. I've felt it to be very heavy. So we're going to start with something here. Oh, Barb's here. Hi. Catherine's here. Hello, Rosalind, Lori, Mary. Hello, hello. Oh, hello in New York. How are you? So what we're going to do is I'm going to get a bunch of tutorials on my events page so that, you know, we can still be planning for, so that people who are new to these tutorials still can find out what kind of tools potentially to use and the paints and all of that sort of thing. However, I'm not going to choose a topic a week in advance, unless it's like a part 2 of something that we've already started. And I really want to try and make these only one part if I can, because I think that they can be a little bit more helpful. So here's my thoughts. There's a ton of free content out there that will teach you the technical parts of dot painting and dot mandalas, right? The technical parts, by that I mean, there's a lot of videos that explain, what walking the dots means and all of that sort of thing, right? The basic patterns. Rosalind's in New York. Beautiful sunny day. Wonderful. Mary's in Maine. Hi, Mary. Mel in New Brunswick. Whereabouts in New Brunswick are you, Mel? I used to live in New Brunswick. I lived in St. John for a little over a decade. So what I'm going to do is I am going to please continue suggesting the things that you want to learn and that you want to do, and that you want me to cover. And I'm just going to kind of keep a running list of those things. Oh, you're in Shediac. Fantastic. Well, it's good to have you here. I'm going to kind of keep a running list of the different suggestions and different ideas. And closer to each tutorial, I'm going to look at all of those ideas. I'm also going to think about what's kind of in the back of my mind as far as inspiration and things I've been wanting to try. And I'd like to focus on these tutorials. I'll still cover the technical parts of things, of how I do things, about the tools, about, how I make my swoops, how I draw my guidelines, how I plan things out. But I really want to be able to walk you through a project and kind of let you see my thought process. Like, hey, I found this design, I really want to try it, or it gave me this really cool idea, and then let's walk through it together and see what we can come up with. Some projects are going to turn out really well. Other projects might not turn out so great, but we can go through those things together and kind of start to, just kind of really start to learn just kind of some thinking on your feet kind of stuff and going with inspiration. That's something that I will be a better teacher for it. And I think all of the pieces will be that much better for it. So that's something to just kind of keep in the back of your mind. If it doesn't work out, we'll change back. We'll do something completely different. But that's my thought for the next little while going forward. The mug parties are planned for the next few weeks, and we're going to stick with those designs, but I might try and play around with those a little bit too going forward. I haven't completely decided yet, but, and this is, I need to make sure that I am having moments of inspiration with what we're going to be creating if I'm going to show up as the best version of me for you guys. So I think that that's when more interesting conversations can happen. I think that that's when a lot of interesting things can happen, when we're kind of going in flow. So when I was sitting there last night having this moment where I was really beating myself up saying, oh, come on, you didn't get this scheduled and now you got to pick something for tomorrow. And the thought just popped into my head going, do the Swoops design on a stone. And immediately I felt my whole body go, yeah, I want to try that. So that's the kind of thing that I'm going to be feeling to be listening for in my own body and in my own mind, to kind of really just make sure that I am just being the best version of me that I can be for you guys. Hey, Paula. And like I said, everything is dynamic. Nothing is going to stay the same forever. We're going to do what works for a little while. And if that changes, I tend to ebb and flow between needing to have the freedom to decide things to the opposite end of having a lot of structure. So I expect things to kind of bounce around a little bit, but I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So I had said in my post that I was going to do a 4-inch stone, but then I looked at my inventory and I do not have any more 4-inch stones left. I really need to buy some more gypsum and make some more, because I am getting dangerously low on stones and things like this to paint, because I'd like to get back to doing some of this stuff as well. Can you talk about how the swoops happen when you're at the edge of the canvas? Absolutely, I can, for sure. Because we're not going to run into that on this, but I can definitely talk about how that happens on the canvas, for sure, Paula. Absolutely. So we're going to do a 3-inch stone. I'm going to start off very, very, very tiny, as in I'm going to be starting off with the micro daughter. And I am going to move up very, very slowly through my dotting tools in all the different sizes as I work my way out from the center of this stone. So the first thing we're gonna do, of course, is put down some guidelines. And I am just looking to make sure I've got all the tools that I think I'm gonna need here. All right, so I have one of these silicone stencils. They came in a pack. I believe I got them from Happy Dotting Company when I got the molds. And there's a large one and a small one. So this one would go on the 4-inch stone, and then this one goes for the 3-inch stone. You can use either though. I can use the 4-inch template on the 3-inch stone, no problem at all. Okay, so they're nice and flexible. They curve to the surface of the stone, which is absolutely ideal. They do sometimes bubble a little bit because they're meant to fit a whole bunch of different sizes. So if you have one of these, make sure that when you center it, you really kind of push down to make sure that it's not bubbling and it's laying flat on your surface. Okay, so the first thing to note is on these stones that I make and that a lot of artists make, when we make them out of the molds, they come out of the mold with this center marked for us, which is lovely because it makes life super, super easy. So it's got this little nub in there, right? It's a little nipple, right? So what I do though is I usually, because if I dot over top of this, when the paint dries, if I'm not using super puffy paint, especially because I use craft acrylics, when it dries, I'm going to be able to see this little nub. Okay. So now the ways, there's a couple different ways around it. One of the ways is to sand that down and almost make a little hole or just kind of etch where your center is so that you can line it up with your stencil. The other way is to make the plan that you're going to do a bunch of top dots if you're putting a large center dot. And the other is if you're using thicker paints. So if you're using the paints that dry a lot puffier, then that will help to camouflage this little bump as well. But the bump is incredibly helpful because we can line it up. I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. So let's see if I zoom in if this is going to work or not. Thanks for slamming the door. And here we go. So I am going to... So that little nub, here's what I'm going to do actually. Let me try this. I'm going to grab this white pencil and I'm just going to mark this so you can see it. So that's the little nub there. So I'm going to take this stencil and I'm going to line it up until that little dot looks like it's in the middle of this middle hole. Now, the trick with that is that this middle hole is significantly larger than that dot. So you still want to be careful that it is lining up the way that you want it to. Oops, and I have it upside down. So one side is flat on all of these edges. I don't know if you can see that, but then on this side, see how they're kind of rounded a little bit more? This is the up direction. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to go in with my watercolor pencil crayon, and I'm going to draw some guidelines. Now for this particular design, it might have been more effective. Sorry for the noise, you guys. It might have been more effective to use my compass to draw this if I wanted extra lines, but I think this is still going to work perfectly fine. And here's my thoughts on guidelines, and you'll hear this a lot from me, is not to live and die by your guidelines, right? The guidelines are there to give you kind of an idea of if you're going in the right direction, if you are... how your spacing is doing, but it's not the end of the world if they don't continue to match up all the time with what you're painting. So don't stress about that too much if you find that you're off your guidelines, okay? Use them as another point of reference, but you don't have to live and die by them. Okay, so I'm gonna go around all of these edges. Right in here. Okay, almost. And it'll move on you a little bit too, so don't be alarmed if that happens, okay? So there we go. Oops, I didn't do a line on this one. Sometimes when they're nice and close together, you can kind of just join them a little bit. Right? If you want that solid line, or grab your compass, you can always do it that way. Okay. Now, before we move on with this, I am going to do the same like I do on canvas or on wood panels. I am going to go in with my eraser and just gently erase some of these lines. These pencils have a little bit of waxiness to them, so what can happen is that when you dot over top of some of these lines, they can actually, the lines can actually cause the paint to pinch in where it intersects with the lines. So... Actually, Paula, the tutorial for last week when we actually did replicate that design but on a canvas, I believe it's still posted. I had issues with getting it to save to my phone. So it should still be posted on the Mandala Love Affair page, and it goes into a little bit of detail at the end as to how to work off the sides of that canvas. So that might be an option for you since we're not actually doing that part of it here today. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is so these are all points of reference for me. I'm going to start doing some swoops in the middle. Now I'm going to, oh, you're welcome. So I have decisions to make because this space is significantly bigger than what I normally do. How they normally are. I'm going to just see if I have anything that I can use as a bit of a stencil around that center. So I just grabbed one of my largest dotting tools, and I'm just going to see if I can create another smaller circle. So in order to do that, what I find tends to work really well is I'm going to grab a flexible tape measure, and I do this on a lot of my stones too to help me find the center, is I use my flexible tape measure and I go across the center, try and line it up as best as I can there, and I just connect a couple of these lines. I know I just finished my erasing and I will go back in and redo it again a little bit, but the reason I'm doing this is because this gives me some more reference points when I'm looking at this tool. So what oh, excuse me, a little burp there, sorry. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking to see if it looks like it is centered in this larger circle, and if it's centered around these lines. So I'm gonna actually hold it up this way a little bit so I can see it straight on and see how I think it looks. I think it's down a little bit too far. This again would be the benefit of the compass. My compass is out in my camper, so we are winging it today. But this is an option for you too, right? Just means a little more trial and error. So if I trace this circle, it's going to give me just a smaller circle, and it actually looks pretty good. That looks like a pretty good location, so I'm happy with that. The reason I wanted that smaller circle is that I didn't want my first set of swoops to be this large, and I really want to kind of use these guidelines to my advantage, at least in the first couple of sets of swoops, to help me make sure I'm making them all the same length and that they're at the length that I want them to be. So this is how small we're going to start. Okay, so I am going to start with, I've got an idea of how I want this to work as far as color. I'm going to go from dark to light. So in this first one, I want the darkest to be on the outside petals. So when I'm looking at this here, I want these to go in kind of a little bit of an order. Actually, and even now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think that that's even necessary, but I'll show you what I mean. So I'm starting with my second darkest color. So if I have 5 colors, this would be color number 4 when 5 is the darkest. And I'm going to start with my poles and create a little swoop right into the middle. So I'm going to go over here to this side and do the same. I always start with the 4 poles, and then I start just dividing sections in half. So again, I'm using the micro daughter. I'm cleaning it off every couple of lines, because you really don't want a lot of paint to build up, because that will impact the shape and the size of your swoops. So don't be afraid to clean it off an awful lot. So I'm just putting the paint down, letting the paint kind of pool off of the tool for a little bit, and then slowly moving it down this way. All right, so now I have to decide, and actually I'm only going to use 4 colors. So now I have to decide which color I'm going to use next. So I'm going to use the next lightest. And, oh no, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to divide these spaces in half. Like so. And these are starting off very, very, very tiny. You do not have to start off this tiny. But this is what I wanted to try on a small stone like this, to still give it a really nice, intricate little center. Okay, so there we've got our little center. So I'm actually going to do exactly the opposite of what I said. I started with my darkest. I'm only going to use 4 different colors. And now I'm going in with, so if 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm using color number 3 now. 4 is the darkest that I'm using in this design. And so now I'm going to come in and create little tiny swoops down each side here in the middle. Let's see, is that angle okay? Are you seeing that all right? Or is it really glary? And then I'm going in here again, getting in nice and close. I want to make sure that we can see these, but I also want to make sure that there is some separation between each little set, right? So it's nice that there's that little bit of black showing through in between each set. Oh, and you know what? I just realized I brought Audrey in here and she doesn't have a litter box in here. So once I finish this row, I'm just going to go quickly grab her litter box and stick it in the corner. Or a litter box, I should say, just to make sure that she's not completely bursting by the end of these 2 hours. Poor girl. So there we go, with a little less glare on it. You see the slight difference in color, right? And slide again, and there we go. Okay, so that's my center. As of right now, I'm not going to do anything else in the center. There's always the option later to go in and add maybe a contrasting color to help brighten it up and add some detail, but for now, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to leave it for now. Now, there we go. Here you go, Audrey. You all right? You all right? She is not happy that I brought her in here with me. Yeah, you totally could. You totally could do a butterfly with stuff like this, with swoops like this. Yep, you definitely could. All right. So our first little circle is done. Like I said, I'm going to leave this for now. Like I said, there's always the option to go in with another little bit of detail to add in there. But I think I always like to wait until the very end of the design to see if it's going to work out the way I want it to. So now I'm moving from my micro daughter to my smallest nail dotting stylus tool, the one with no metal ball on the end. Okay, and I'm going to actually start again with my darkest, and this time I want to make this a little bit bigger, so I'm going to make it about halfway up this line. So halfway between this round circle and this one, about halfway there. I do not have a method to this madness, okay? This is all just winging it, that I know that if I start it up here, I'll have room for a couple more swoops on either side, okay? So we're gonna give this a go and pull it slowly down like so. And I always do the poles first. I find that easier. This might not be long enough. I might have done better to make it a little bit longer, but that's okay. There we go. That's a little better. I like it better when it's got a little bit more of a tail there. There we go. All right, so now I go in and do the ones in the middle. Now the ones in the middle with my stencil are difficult because they don't have the same number of guidelines as swoops that I want to do. So I'm looking about halfway again between those two circles, and I'm looking at those guidelines, and I'm just worrying about making it centered with what I've actually already painted, right? This is another option of, another example of not living and dying by these guidelines, okay? There we go. So there is the first of the next row. So now I'm going to go to my next lightest color again. Okay. Now these swoops I'm doing a little bit faster because I don't want them to be as long as the center one. So I'm just doing them a little bit faster. You could even go down a size and make your center one using a larger tool, only because you need, if you want it to drag down longer, you need a little bit more paint. But just moving faster when you're doing the drag will make your swoops shorter. I'm seeing that it would have probably been better for you guys visually if I had done a different color scheme, and I apologize for that. This one's probably not showing up the greatest. I'll just have to remember, rainbows only for tutorials, lots and lots of contrast, so that it's easy for you guys to see. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask, okay? All right, so we still have some more space there. They look very unfinished, and we have lots of room. So I'm gonna go in with another lighter color. And this time I am gonna switch back to my micro dotter. The further out we go from the center swoop, the shorter those swoops need to be. So I'm gonna go in with this lighter one, like so. This is very much like the designs that I do on the handles of my mugs. Oh, thanks, guys. Hey, Cindy. Oh, awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you guys can see it well then. Okay, good. That makes me happy. I always wonder if I'm giving enough contrast so that it picks up on camera nicely so that you guys don't have to squint to see what's happening. It's good to see you, Cindy. How you been? Keeping busy? Okay. I think this is going to look kind of cool. There we go. Here we go. All right, so there is our second layer. So now, here's one thing that I am seeing that I did on this that I didn't do on the large canvas is see how these are significantly tighter in together. So this is already giving me an idea. So here's my idea. I'm gonna add some color just for fun, because why not, right? It's a good, there's space there, and it's a precedent that I can carry on. So I'm going in with hot pink right in the middle, because why not, right? These would make cute little snowflakes too, almost, eh? And then I'm gonna go in with my small tool, and I'm gonna add just a couple more little dots of detail in here where it's a little too tight to squeeze in a tail of a swoop. Right, it's just a little bit of a tight squeeze in there. So I'm just gonna add these little bits of color to fill in that space and to give us a little bit of contrast. It does look like a snowflake, right? Been good, yes, sadly. Got a new job, so long hours on the weekends. Well, I'm happy for you for the new job, and I hope you're doing well, and just know that we miss ya. It's always good to see ya. And I'm glad you're able to be here today. All right, so now we are gonna keep going. I am going to do the same size tool again, and this time I'm gonna go about halfway again, so they're gonna be longer. But the reason I'm using the same size tool is because I want to add in an extra set of swoops to go with it. So in the row before, we had a total of 5 swoops, right? And here we're gonna have a total of 7. Oh, that was way crooked. Wow, look at that. All right, so I'm just gonna wing it, and we're gonna try and make it as straight as possible. Thankfully, it should, even though I'm spitting on my piece, thankfully it should all just kind of come out in the wash and be camouflaged a little bit in the design. It's one of the beauties of doing something like this, dot mandalas with the swoops, or anything really, is the fact that it really, the design is complicated enough that it can help to camouflage what we might consider to be some mistakes, right? Thanks, guys. Also cleaning out the basement for my craft. Oh, yay! Oh, that's exciting. Oh, I'm so glad, Cindy. That's a lot of good stuff. And yes, Cindy, I think the pink looks cute, eh? I think it's gonna look really cute once we really get going on this and we get out towards the edge. So about halfway again, and slowly pulling it down to a nice point. I had a little bit too much paint on that one. It's a little bit bigger and gloppier, but that's okay. And we go here. And then we go here. And one more here. What was that noise, Audrey? Sounded like an angry cat. That always freaks me out a little bit when I hear those noises. All right. So once you've decided to add these dots, there's a couple different things that you could do. I could now proactively go in and put the pink dot right at the peak of this, but I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna make sure that I do it when it's actually centered in the space that I create from all these different swoops. So that's why I'm waiting to add that next pink dot in there. An icy blue would have looked good with this too, eh? I'm still using the same size tool this time. I don't know if I'm gonna switch. I'll know when I get out to my last set, my last color, and see how much kind of space I have and how long I'm thinking those swoops are going to be. So just dip and then drag. Yeah, the icy blue would be cute. White would look nice. Yellow would look nice. There's so many options, right? This is another example, just like when we did the concentric circles with the color grades or the spirals. This is another design that you could just do this design over and over and over again and change nothing but, you know, some minor sizes and some colors, and every piece is gonna look like its own unique piece. And that's kind of where I'm enjoying this right now, is that, you know, every piece still feels very different, even though they're very, very, very similar and using the same techniques, right? And I kind of like that. That's fun to me. The same but different, right? Playing with color. I love having the opportunities to play with some color. I tend to do a lot of trial and error when that happens. But I do enjoy it an awful lot. Some things work out and some things don't, right? So a lot of people ask me if I plan my designs or how I kind of progress through a piece. I rarely plan something. This is kind of the most of a plan that I have, and even then I had a plan for color and I changed it last second, right? I don't typically do a ton of planning. I'll get an idea and I'll get an idea in my head, and depending on what that idea is like, then maybe it might need a little bit of planning, but for the most part, I tend not to plan too much, to be honest with you. I tend to just kind of wing it and see what happens. I really enjoy winging it. I enjoy making decisions on the fly. Like, okay, I'm done with walking dots for a little while. Let's do some swoops. Okay, I'm done with swoops for a while. Let's do some concentric circles, right? Just painting what I happen to feel like painting and whatever the piece is kind of calling for. I do believe that if you listen closely enough to your piece, it will tell you exactly what it needs. And then if you listen closely to yourself, you will tell yourself exactly what you want to do. That's when the magic happens. Follow the fun. That is the #1 priority. Right? Doesn't mean it's going to not be frustrating sometimes, but follow the ideas that make you a little giddy, like, ooh, I really want to try that. That's how I felt the first time I ever saw mandalas, is, oh, I want to do that. And look where that took me. Right? Now this is my full-time career. It's crazy. And I've met all of you guys because of that. It's absolutely bananas to me, and it's so freaking cool to see how it's all growing and changing along the way. So you could decide that you want to model this more after a flower and have it starting lighter in the center and moving your way out. There's so much you could do with this. So much. Okay, I'm going to switch to the microdotter again. Oh, wow, that was way too thick, but that's okay. All right. So I might end up painting over that swoop. What I find sometimes happens with the microdot, if I hold it on too much of an angle, it will make it a fatter swoop, which makes sense, right? It's being on an angle like this as opposed to up like this. It's going to create a little bit more width. So keep that in mind when you're doing swoops with any of your tools. The more on the side you hold it, especially if it's a straight tool, the wider of a stroke of paint that you're going to get. Ooh, I'm liking this. This is pretty. I hope that stuff helps you guys. But this is definitely a pattern that you could practice over and over and over again with. And just change up the colors, right? What an amazing way to sit and practice swoops and become really comfortable with swoops. One thing that I should warn you about when it comes to practicing swoops, you will do a piece and it will turn out perfectly and you'll think you've got it and that it's wonderful and everything is great. And then you will pick up your next piece and it will be like it was the first time you've ever picked up a dotting tool. Okay, so just be kind to yourself. Again, remember that this is a work in progress. This is learning, and just have some fun with it. It takes a lot of practice. It reminds me very much of the game of golf. You know, you can practice and practice and practice, but you're still going to have some super crap days, right? It's just going to happen. So just be nice to yourselves, okay? Maggie, you feel giddy watching this one. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. I'm gonna do a table in all swoops soon. I've got a second table almost done. I'm just finishing off the rim edge. I've got a second table almost done and ready for resin. My goal is to resin it tomorrow and put the second coat of resin on the black rainbow table tomorrow. And then I've got two others. I've got a plum colored table and another black one. So I think I'm gonna start with the plum colored table. Maybe, I don't know. But then on the black table though, I'm gonna do this. And I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so stinking excited to do it. So I might even do the black one next. All right, so I've used all 4 of my colors. I'm really happy with the color grade there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to increase the size of my tool as I increase the size of my swoop as I go out here, okay? So I'm using a slightly larger tool now. I'll show you in comparison. I was using my straight tool. I started with the micro dotter on the left, right? Went to the straight tool in the middle, and now I'm going to this tool here. Am I going to that tool, or am I going to this tool instead? Which one's bigger? I feel like the one on the right's a little bit bigger. Let's just make sure I don't have another one that might be more appropriate. I think they're pretty darn close to the same. All right, I think this is the one we're gonna go with then. All right, so now with this one, I'm going to come up again about halfway, maybe a little bit more than halfway, because my swoops are going to be bigger, but they are also going to be nice and long down to here. So let's see how we do here. Now that these are starting to get longer, I'm probably gonna have to start doing some kind of sketching, dragging, like going like this to get them down there, and I'm okay with that. That looked good. Where did I get the tables? I got the tables from Jysk or Jysk, Jysk. So if you are in Canada, folks, you can get these tables. They're metal tables. And if you are in the US, you can order from jysk.ca or jysk.ca. Sorry. I try to pronounce it right, but then I just end up going to, well, can I just say it how it's spelled and will you know what I'm talking about? But I also don't want to be disrespectful, right? But it really looks so beautiful watching you create this design. Makes me really want to attempt this design. Yay! Oh, you're most welcome. Have so much fun with it. So much fun with it. Follow the joy. Follow the fun. I love hearing that people are giddy with ideas and that's the juice. That's the good stuff. That is the good stuff. That's what prompts you to try painting on new things and try painting different designs and really kind of going for it. And it's so fun. Okay, so we've got this row and then we're going to have one other row. I still might go back in and redo that little center dot too, because it's a little wonky and I'm not sure how happy I am with it, but we'll see. There we go. And one more. So I'm still following the same pattern with my colors. I'm going with my darkest in the middle, then going to my lightest. Again, you could use these exact same colors and just flip it around and start with lightest to have the lightest in the middle going out to darkest, right? It would look similar, but again, so different, right? The live video will be available on my website, probably end of day Tuesday, and it will also go to the Patreon. It won't be left on the Facebook page though. All right, next color. Here we go. Now, as you get out towards the edge as well, just keep in mind that you're going to start running out of places to put your hands and to grab onto the stone. So just kind of keep that in mind. The colorful swoop one again, absolutely. So here's the main difference between the two so far, right? In this one here, I really don't have a lot of space in there for a little tiny detail dot like in here, right? So these are kind of butted up one against each other and not having that space in there. Yay, Mary. That'll be fun. Yeah, so end of day Tuesday, I should have the have it up on in the tutorial section of my website, and it should be up on the Patreon end of day tomorrow. And so sorry, it should be on my website by end of day tomorrow. I keep thinking today's Sunday for some reason. I think I changed the day that I go in to see my parents. I used to go in on Sundays and now I go in on Mondays. And I think I'm still in the old mindset of do a tutorial one day, go see mom and dad the next day. So it'll actually be on the site end of day tomorrow. Was that helpful, Cindy, for the view of the original one, the rainbow one? Awesome. Okay. All right. Back here we go. Let's keep going. Now I had picked the 4-inch stone because I really wanted to kind of see what this would look like as it got significantly bigger. But I will do my best to get myself some more gypsum soon. I've been holding off, honestly, because shipping is the same amount as the box of gypsum. So I can buy a 50-pound box of gypsum for $30, and shipping is also $30. So I'm waiting to make the most of that money because I'd like to order a couple of boxes to have a nice big stock in here. It's far enough away from where I live that the time it would take me to go and pick it up in store and bring it back and pay for gas, never mind the time that it would take, $30 is well worth it. It's just, you know, is that the priority for right now? And it hasn't been up until this point. But I think on a 4-inch stone, especially because you've got more real estate that you can cover and paint, right? I think that would look really, really cool. But I do want to get more gypsum soon because I really want to make a bunch of blank tea light candle holders, more blank stones, so that if you guys don't want to make your own stones, that at least there's an option for you with to get some pre-made stones too, right? All right. Oh, good. I'm glad. What's the difference between the webpage and the Patreon? A really good question. So on the website, you can get different tutorials individually, so you can pick and choose which ones you want, whereas the Patreon just gives you blanket access to the entire library of tutorials. I think there's a little over 30 tutorials in there now, and every Saturday a new one gets added because the recordings from the Saturday tutorials go to the Patreon. I hope that makes sense. But on the website, if you say there's only really 2 tutorials that you want access to, then you'd be better to get them individually. Now, the Patreon is $13 Canadian a month. $13 US a month? No, $13 Canadian a month. So it's one of those things that if you decide that there's 3 tutorials that you want, you might do just as well to join the Patreon and maybe have a chance to access a few more. It is a monthly thing, but you can jump in and out of it as often as you want. Yeah, exactly. Making stones is a lot of fun too, Cindy. I'm glad you like being in the Patreon, Maggie. I'm so glad. That makes me happy. I'm so glad. Making stones is really fun. It's very messy. I did most of my stones I moved out here to the farm before I switched to gypsum, so that would have been sometime after September. It was probably October, maybe November, when I switched from plaster of Paris to gypsum. And I have never looked back, to be honest with you. But plaster of Paris is still a really good option. And it did give me a lot of insight and helped me kind of get used to the molds, how to pull stuff out of the molds. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Just consistency that I'm looking for, how to kind of clean the molds and take care of them. So there's a lot of benefits to starting with plaster of Paris. The main issue that I had with plaster of Paris is that it is not as sturdy. The number of stones that I had that got damaged during transit being shipped to their new homes, or got damaged pulling them out of the mold, it's just not as strong. Whereas the gypsum is really nice and strong. Patreon is so worth it. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you feel that, Mary. That makes me really happy. So happy. I don't know if you guys saw, because of the issues with not getting a couple of these videos to save to my phone, I did put in a couple mug party videos into the Patreon to make up for the fact that there were a couple of Saturday tutorials that didn't make it due to some snafus. So there's some mug parties in there too. There's 2 mug parties in there for you. And there's a tutorial that I've never released anywhere else that I believe is a 4.5 or 5 hour tutorial. Excuse me, my very, very first one. My very, very first tutorial. And it was actually a tutorial for this piece here. Oops, that's zoomed in. It's a grayscale piece. So that's the other tutorial. That tutorial isn't available on the website as of yet. It is a Patreon exclusive. Fancy schmancy, huh? Oh, that looks cool when you see it from far away, eh? Oh, it looks cool. Oh, I love it. Ah, happy, happy, happy. I love when things work out like I was hoping they would. Okay. So that one is a little bit bigger than what I would like, so I'm going to go down a size in my tool. This paint is a little bit thicker too, so I'm going to go down a size in my tool. And that's the other thing you have to play with, right, is your paints. Right? Thicker, heavier paints aren't going to travel as well, or they're going to make thicker swoops. So you want to really get to know your paints. And again, this is a great tutorial for doing that too. You know, the concentric circles, the spirals, this kind of design, great for practicing your technique and excellent for just getting to know your tools and your paints, right? You could have one dotting tool and make 5 different size dots from that one tool just by putting different amounts of paint and applying different amounts of pressure. Now, one thing that you might be noticing is that the bottoms of my little clumps of swoops are fairly wide, right? There are a lot of artists out there that are really good at getting them down to just that one little tiny point. And in order to do that, what you have to do is shorten up the swoops significantly and make them, so like make it come to only to there, right? That's something that I'm still practicing and I have not really gotten there yet. Now this space in between these sets that I'm doing right now, they're significantly wider than I would like them to be. So I'm actually going to go ahead and create one more even lighter shade of purple to use after this one. Oh, other exciting news on July 31st, which is a Saturday at 8 p.m. I'm going to be on Instagram and I'm going to be doing a joint live with Delicate Dots Andrea. We're just going to jump on and just chat with everybody and answer questions and stuff. So if you want to come hang out, that'd be awesome. Do you ever seal your stone before doing swoops? No, I don't, but that is a really, really good option to give you an even smoother surface. If you seal it really well, I know some artists will even pour resin on it and then paint it after the resin. Your smoothness is going to be, you're going to notice a big difference. Excuse me, so sorry. Now, do I have white paint? Yes, I do. All right, so I'm going to mix a little bit of lighter. Ooh, go in with the pink. All right, Paula. All right. I see what you're doing. All right. Paula's not messing around today. That's a great idea. All right. We're doing it. We're going in with the pink. Because why not? My birthday gift is to see you that day. It's your birthday on the 31st, Janice? Oh, yay. Lovely. We'll make a fuss. We'll make a fuss. We'll have a birthday party for Janice. Oh, this is, oh, Paula, I think you're onto something, Paula. I think you're onto something. Oh, yeah. Well done. Yay, Janice. That'll be so much fun. I think that's going to be a really good time. Sit and we'll answer some questions. Anna I'm still doing the tutorial that day too, so we'll get to spend lots of time together. On August the 5th, I think it's the 5th, whatever the Thursday after the long weekend is, I will be heading back to the Art Resin Studios to finish doing some filming and some casting. I'm going to be going back at least 2 more times. We had a bunch of really cool ideas that we want to work on together and do some collaborating on. So that's going to be coming. And then, so I go back in 2 weeks, which means it's going to be probably another 2 weeks after that. So I'm guessing end of August, maybe, before the video that they're doing, and that they're editing together will be ready to show to like the general public, right? So I'm guessing anyway. Oh, so I stuck my finger in this one. This is the part that happens when you get out towards the edge, right? Sometimes you might have to just slow down and let some stuff dry a little bit first before you continue on. But just kind of play that by ear. That's one of the things with the stones. There's a lot of, in all of these, right? There can be a lot of set it aside, let it dry, and come back later, right? So just keep that in mind. All right, so I'm just going to go in with my black paint and I'm going to touch up these spots where I smudged some purple. And then we'll go here. Ah, thanks, Catherine. How's the job? How you doing? Oh, thank you, Rosalind. I'm so glad. This credit goes to Paula on this one. Holy, this was a genius idea to go in with the purple. Genius. Or to go in with the pink, I should say. It It made sense in my head. Look, I realized that what I say in my head doesn't often make its way out of my mouth. Oh, yeah, I love it. Love it. Way too much paint on there. I'm all about less work mixing, totally. Especially just for a couple little things, right? I find that when I'm making it just for something small, I still never manage to make the right amount of paint. I still manage to make too little, and then I have to remix it and color match it, and yeah, big batches or bust. Oops, that one's a little squinchy, but that's okay. 5 to 9, Monday to Friday. Oh, that's amazing, Catherine. Are you enjoying it? You enjoying the people that you're getting to work with? I hope you are. I hope it's going well. Are you coming home with a paycheck, or are you coming home with product and art supplies? That would be the tough part for me, working at like a Dollarama or a Dollar Tree. I'd be screwed. I'd never come home with any money. Same with working at Michael's. No, just pay me in product because I can't leave here. Can't do it. In the morning, stocking the Dollar Tree. Oh, good. Excuse me. So I'm going to get a little drink here. Bear with me. I'm just going to let this dry for a second as well, you guys. So before we move on to the next little section here. I'm so glad, Catherine. I'm so happy for you. That's wonderful. So good. All right. Now let's see. Is the center dry enough? Yeah, I think it is. Okay. So, oh, that's right too. Yeah, you've got the job at Goodwill too. That's busy. All right, so I'm going to hold this, call it the hamburger hold. All right, I'm going to use that same, the same tool, only this time I'm going to start it around the edge and wrap it down and around this way. Okay. So these swoops are going to wrap around the edge. This may cause problems depending on how smoothly I can bring it around. So let's see what happens. It's easy to get a little off center sometimes, but that one looks all right. I'm good with that. Okay, and instead of doing my poles this time, I'm just going to go around so that I have this as a point of reference for where to put the next one. And sometimes I'll even just leave a little dot of paint like that. There we go. So when you're doing this, going around an edge, just keep in mind that the edge can throw you off very easily, right? So making sure that you're keeping your piece nice and steady and going as slow as you possibly can to keep that straight line. It's very easy when you're coming up over these edges to twist a little bit. Oops, not enough paint there. Let's keep going there. That's better. I love it. I have a lot of house products I'm trying to save as much as I can. That's amazing. Good for you. That's got to feel really good. Really happy for you, Catherine. So proud of you. I hope you're still giving yourself some time to paint when you can, though. Because that's mentally important, right? Or whatever you feel like doing on any given day, that you're giving yourself some time to do something that you enjoy. Who knows, Catherine? Maybe you'll be opening your own dot mandala business soon. Here we go. So they're not always super straight, but they are for the most part. Not too bad. Oh, good. I'm really glad, Catherine. That's so important. Glad to hear it. It's the one thing that this art form has taught me is the value of doing things that make me happy. I show up in the world in a way that I'm much more proud of when I've spent time doing something that makes me happy. Okay, now I'm probably going to stick my hand in paint again here soon, but let's see how long we can work these swoops going all the way around. So I'm going to do a little bit of redesigning on my website right now, like when I posted my large canvas and when I posted the table. They all went under accessories because I didn't really have any organization. So I'm going to be spending some time doing that, spending some time reorganizing the links that are in my bio. I was able to set up a tip jar though, which I thought was kind of cool. And just some more direct links to some of the different stuff on the website, which is really nice. Still continuing on with these tutorials. I don't see any foreseeable future or any reason why these would not continue. So that will be fun as well. How am I missing a pot of paint? Oh, my stone is sitting on it. Good thing I'm cute. All right, I can get away with doing dumb stuff. All right, so now we're gonna switch to that color, set that down, open up this color. Now we're ready for the next swoops. You're gonna be seeing lots of tables over the next little while. Just lots of stuff coming. Camper renovations will happen eventually. We've got a couple big hurdles to get past first for that. We've got to get it moved into its permanent location and dig a septic. So it's, kind of building up to that point. And then once that's done, the next big hurdle is just getting Wi-Fi access out there. Once those two things happen, whoo, Nelly, you just wait. Oh, I'm so gonna stick my hand in paint soon. But lots of fun stuff coming. We will definitely not run out of material for these tutorials. I've got some big canvases that I want to paint. I have some art shows and craft shows that I want to be a part of. So I'm going to be trying to build up a bunch of inventory. And I have to start building up inventory for Christmas soon. So I'm actually going to start painting Christmas ornaments soon too. Yay, I haven't stuck my hand in paint yet. Woohoo! So we'll do some tutorials on painting Christmas ornaments for sure. And again, it's not that I'm not going to do the suggestions that come in. I'm just going to not have to plan them weeks in advance. So please keep sending me your suggestions of things that you want to see, that you'd like to see a tutorial on. And I will definitely add them to the running list. Exactly. There's always something to paint on, right? Always something. Hey, Jill. Yeah, Christmas ornaments are going to be fun. And of course, Christmas mugs, right? And Hanukkah mugs. All kinds of good stuff. You're painting Christmas ornaments today, Nancy. That's awesome. Yeah, this would look cool on Christmas ornaments too. So the ornaments, I do a couple different things. I do have some flat discs that I bought at Michael's last year that I painted some ornaments on that were like a plaster, like a gypsum disc. So there's that option. Most of the ornaments, though, that I do, I use just regular Christmas ornaments. And for those, that's why I need to start painting them early. I'm going to use the multi-surface acrylic paint, and I'm going to have to let them dry the 21 days. Because I won't be able to bake them, right? Because they're plastic Christmas ornaments. But I am going to use the multi-surface in the hopes that once it dries and cures, it'll make the ornaments that much more durable. That's the hope anyway. I did some last year with regular paints, and I'm just too nervous that they're not going to have a lot of longevity. And I want them to last as long as possible. Especially because I don't charge a small amount for my Christmas ornaments, right? Because they all take a significant amount of time to paint. So I want to make sure that if people are going to be investing a decent amount of money into something, that they get something that's going to last them more than one season too. And my gut tells me that multi-surface is the way to go with that. There we go. All right. And I just stuck my finger in that paint. Okay. So, hey, Lori. I have not thinned the paint. This is just craft acrylic paint straight out of the bottle. All right. So I got to let this dry for a few minutes. But I'm pleased with how it's turning out so far. I think this is going to look really, really cool. I like how they're wrapping around. Right? I like being able to look at the side and see that they're wrapping down and around the side. This feels like feathers almost to me. I could definitely do Mod Podge over them. I wonder if the matte or the gloss would be... Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the Mod Podge gloss and see what it says, because that might be a really good solution, Janice. Thank you. All right, let's see what Mod Podge gloss says. Let's see. Or at least give the option to not have to use multi-surface, right? Thanks, Lori. I'm glad you like it. It's fun. It's based loosely off of this painting that I did. So this is the inspiration for today. Last week I did a tutorial that was... Oh, crap. Mod Podge. Cure time, 4 weeks. Sealer. Apply thin coat, dry 20 to 30 minutes. This is not an all-purpose sealer. Sealer for decoupage projects only. Apply 5 coats. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Sorry. Okay. So this was a piece that I did at the same time that I was painting the black table with the rainbow colors. And I was painting this when the other one had to sit and dry before I could continue on. And it just was one of those ones like, let's try it and see what happens. And it worked out really well. So since then I have been doing a whole bunch of them. I managed to get myself some 6-inch square canvases at Dollar Tree, actually. Not canvases, sorry, wood panels. And I've been doing a bunch of different designs on them. And this design just hasn't let go of me yet. Definitely hasn't let go of me yet. I have never tried varnish on the ornaments, and I don't know how well it would stick to the plastic. I think that would be the key, is looking at the varnish and making sure that it will adhere to plastic, right? So Lori, if you take a look back in the videos from last week, there is the tutorial. We did a version of this last week as well on a canvas panel. So that is still up on my Facebook page if you want to follow along and jump in. Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing? So that's my only concern, Maggie, about varnish, is that I don't know what ones would adhere to plastic well, but it would definitely be worth a shot. Now, I did try spray varnish last year, and it made them go all cloudy and milky. So that's the other thing to be super aware of, is whether they're going to get all milky. It could work. I'm not sure. Oh, thanks, Lori. I'm doing mug painting classes, and I would like to branch out and do some more classes like this as well. But I'm honestly thinking what I might start to do is to create these and make them available just on my website or on Skillshare to just jump in and start to finish and get some stuff done. I'm not really sure yet. Now, if you're doing glass ornaments, that's a total game changer, right? Because glass you can put in the oven, and glass, the paints might adhere differently, right? So if you go, Lori, to my Facebook page, the Mandala Love Affair Facebook page, and find the section that says videos, then you should see it in there, and it was posted last Saturday. What I'll do, though, is after we're done here today, I will go to that video and I will tag you in it. Or if anybody is able to jump out and find that video quickly and tag Lori in it, that would work as well. Otherwise, I'll try to do that after. I made ornaments last year and used the poly inside to coat it with glitter. Yes, I used floor polish. Yeah. I tried clear nail polish and it didn't work. It made it cloudy and it all went all gummy. I tried a spray varnish. I tried a brush on artist varnish, and I tried clear nail polish, and they all went cloudy, or you could see a lot of the brush strokes. So it's a delicate one to try and kind of figure out. So I ended up just painting on the ornaments and telling people, hey, they're hand painted. Don't bang them around and stuff, you know. Make sure you take care of them. The paint can chip off, all of those sorts of things, and kind of did that. But there's got to be a better way, right? All right. Oh, you're welcome, Lori. All right, okay, we're getting there. It's drying a little bit more. This is the hard part about stones, is letting it dry enough so that you can continue on. Sounds like a perfect excuse for another drink of water. Oh, that's better. I also have these little candle holders. I'm going to clean all of the old wax out of them. I'm going to paint these things, I think. Got a bunch of stuff. I still have a hurricane vase that I started painting months ago, like September, October. Oh, good, Lori. I'm glad you found it. Awesome. Yeah, so give that one a look. That's the tutorial where we still do a square one. It's not a rectangular one like this, but we kind of go through it step by step. Fair warning for you, I was not in the greatest of moods last Saturday, so if I feel a little heavier when you're listening to me, wasn't the best day mentally for me, but we still got through it, and it was still a good day to paint, and it turned out nicely. So just kind of have that heads up, okay? Now, one thing, I'll speak to this to Paula, and I know you're going to watch the tutorial, but what I did with these pieces that come off the edge, might as well talk about this while we're waiting for this to dry. So when they're coming off the edge of the wood panel, what I tried to do was I used a slightly smaller tool because I wasn't going, when I try to envision that the tip of this swoop would actually start right about here. So there's a huge chunk of paint that I don't need there. So I went down a size of tool, put a bit of paint here, did the drag for the swoop, and then I went in, I have, some of you guys might have seen me use this before. It's just a sewing pin stuck into the end of a pencil eraser, and I use this a lot. Sorry, just cleaning the paint off of it. I use this a lot to pull paint down into swoops. So what I did then is I went into these little edges here, and I just started pushing them so that they went straight. So see how these are relatively straight off the edge? You can kind of see it over here. See how they're just kind of straight? So I just kind of straightened them out. So I would go down a size in the tool, do the dot and drag, and then I would go back in with this to kind of push the ends out to make sure they looked straight. I hope that helps, but have a look at, like I said, look at the tutorial as well. But that might give you at least an idea before you sit down and go through that tutorial, okay? All right, guys, let's see if we can't keep going here. They're pretty darn close to dry. So you know what we'll do? We'll just assume that if I mess up, and I'll go in and fix it afterwards, right? Let's get this back here. And let's see. Got that there. All right. So here we go. Getting a good amount of paint on there. See how much of an angle I'm on? So this swoop is already goopy, right? Okay, so. And I don't want it to run into that other one too much. So I'm gonna try and pull the paint off as best as I can. All right, let's grab this. To set that on, let's grab the tiny brush. And let's grab the black paint and do a little touch up. So I use the silicone end of these dotting tools. Oops, there we go. The silicone end of these dotting tools. So this is the one end and this is the other end. You can get these off of Amazon. I have links in my bio if you want to take a look at some of the different tools and supplies that you can get off of Amazon. You can also get them on Dot Art Depot. And I believe the Dotting Center is another one that has them too. So there's a bunch. But I find they pull the paint off really well so that I can get back in there very quickly, pull it off so it's nice and thin and so it dries quickly too, right? And then get back in there and paint it over with the black. All right, let's try this again. This was all about hand placement with what happened there. So let me show you what happened. I placed my hand over here, which means that when I went to lay this down, see what a strong angle that is? I really shouldn't be at that much of an angle because any of the paint that's up higher on this tool is going to touch the surface, right? So what I really should have done is move. Instead of placing my hand on this side of those swoops, I should place it on this side because then I'm much more at a straight up and down angle to get that swoop in there, okay? I hope that makes sense anyway. So let's give that a shot and test the theory to see if that actually works. Just need a little bit more paint. There we go. I'm okay with it not coming all the way down. I can fix that in a second. I just want to get the main part here. And then I'm going to go in with my little pin on my eraser. This is not much better, but it's doing all right. I'm all right with it. I'm all right with it. So I'm going to need some kind of dot to go in here. So I will probably use more pink at that point. So this is definitely trickier. All right, let's try this again. That's better. That's better. And that's a little bit wonky. That pin in the end of the pencil has been an absolute game changer for me. Oops. Gloppy paint. It helps me do all kinds of touch-ups. Not just pulling stuff down into swoops. It's helped a lot. There we go. Lovely. It's not perfect, but it's still looking all right. The worst thing that's going to happen, right, is I'm going to find that there's some stuff about it I don't like, and I can always paint over it and start again, right? It's the worst thing that's going to happen. But so far I'm okay with it. Again, there's a lot of stuff that will get camouflaged in your design, a lot of quote-unquote imperfections, right? That will get camouflaged in your design. And that's almost like when you do find them, it's like you're finding little bits of evidence that somebody handmade it, which I think is always a nice thing. To say, oh, look, I found a little tiny flub, so that means that a human hand actually touched this and it wasn't painted by a robot, right? Which is always nice, I think. All right, we're getting back to the spot where I painted over that one in the beginning. And then in between these swoops, I'm not going to do another set of swoops. We're going to just do some little detail. Okay, that's still a little bit wet, so I'm actually going to go to the next one and see. Okay, so we'll come back and we'll do that one on the wet side there. We'll do that after. All right, but there we go so far. That's how it looks from the side. Can you guys see that okay? Are you getting enough light? So that's from that side. You can see some of the smudges of where I stuck my finger. That's okay. What was an accident? Didn't even see Elizabeth. It's okay. All right, there we go. All right, so I'm going to put this down, and why don't we, while we're waiting for that to dry, we're gonna go in and we're gonna put another dot in here, and we're gonna do it this time above the pink swoops. Okay, we're gonna make it a little bit larger, because why not? Right? Oops, there we go. Oh, that looks kind of cool, actually. Playing around with my case on my iPad. Oh, did you send some sad and angry emojis? Well, I'm glad you're not angry or sad. That's good. When it gets to this point where it's pulling over the side, I usually set it on a sponge so that I can spin it around easy. But once it's working on the side, I'm too afraid that the wet paint is gonna touch the sponge and smudge. So that's why I have switched to another little paint pot. There we go. All right. Oh, I like it. I like it. I like it, Paula. So picture this with different colors now. Picture it with white. Picture it with yellow. Picture it with a bright teal green. Picture it with a lime green. Picture it with red. Like, you could put any color in place of that pink and it would give you a completely different looking design. Imagine switching this around, right? And instead of having the darkest in the center of the swoop, start with the lightest, work your way darker, and then have bright teal, right? Changing the order that you put things in and adding a different contrasting color can be absolutely amazing. Or keep it exactly the same and just create different versions. Have one that has gold instead of a color, or silver instead of a color, right? You could do that with any of these. It would be so fun. I think it would be really cool to take and do with a bunch of metallic colors. that's definitely something that's on my list, is to do a bunch of metallics. And any color grade, you could do this. You could take any color of the rainbow that you choose and create a 4 or 5 color grade, add in an accent color, and Bob's your uncle. There you go, right? So there's so many options with this one, you guys. And I think that's why I'm enjoying it so much, because there's just so many different things to try and so many different ways to add something just a little bit different here and there. And that's fun. I think that's super fun. All right, I'm nervous to try the next one. Okay, well, actually, the one that was wet, I think, is dry now. So let's try that. The hamburger hold is really helpful because you can spin and get around on the edges nicely. So don't be afraid of that. All right, let's try this bad boy. And then we have one more row of purple swoops. And then a final row of pink. Lovely. Okay, sorry, I think I did all of that out of camera, didn't I? I'm sorry. All right, fix that for the next row. All right, lightest color of purple. Here we come. Jumping in. At the end, when this is all dry, I'm going to go in with a larger dotting tool and go over this whole center. Part of this is because I left some of that center dot and it's a little bit off center and a little bit wonky, kind of chunky looking, but I'll be able to fix that. All right, moving this out of the way. And I think it's really about being able to change angles, right? Being able to start over here and then still be able to kind of keep it straight there. It's almost like I'm, oh no, I just touched that pink. Poop. All right. The nice thing is when I'm painting stones, you don't have to have the pre-molded stones. You can probably just go out and find some on your own. Right? And you can do this on natural stone too. Oh, I'm really liking this. This is fun. This is fun. There we go. She said poop. I know. I'm trying really hard to not be such a potty mouth. And it just sounds so ridiculous, doesn't it? Oh, it really does just sound so ridiculous. I really just need to go, well, shit, that didn't work. And sometimes I do, which is so funny when I get it in my head, like, oh, maybe don't do that this time. It's almost like if they knew how much you actually swore. Right? And go. Free reign. Let the cursing begin. Yeah, like if they knew how much I actually swear on a daily basis, they'd either love me more or run away. And you know what? I'm at the point where I'm starting to understand that run away if you need to. It's fine. I get it. It's who I am, right? Jerry Lynn can make a trucker blush. Fantastic. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll remember that. It's funny because one of the businesses that I was going to start, I was actually going to call it the Cursing Crafter. I've had so many different business ideas over the years. Yeah, I was going to call it the Cursing Crafter, and everything that I made was going to have swear words on it. I think that's why I still do the adult coloring pages and some of the other designs. I'm like, every once in a while, you just need something with some good swear words to make you smile at the in the day. I've decided on the design of fabric that I'm going to use for like the duvet cover and the like curtains and cushion covers and stuff in the camper, and it's because I want to keep it fairly neutral so that the paintings on the walls and stuff don't compete too much. So I'm going with like a gray, but it's a mandala that I made a while back that is just the word fuck interlocking over and over again. I'm like, yep. Right? It's a good one. Love the pink. Isn't the pink fantastic, Cindy? Isn't it just awesome? I'm so glad that Paula mentioned that. All right, so we're getting close. We're getting closer here. We're gonna do one more row of pink after this. And then one more tiny little bit of detail left, and then this baby is done. But I think she looks good. I freaking love it. Love it. And this is the giddy feeling that I want to feel. This is the giddy feeling that I felt when I was making the table, right? This is the giddy feeling that I felt when I was making this piece. That's the energy that I want to harness. That's where I want to spend as much time as humanly possible, in that energy, right? Because what I've really started to see is that when I'm in that kind of energy, magic happens. Magic happens. That's when the good stuff happens, right? And that's what I want more of. I want more of those ooh moments, right? Because I want to enjoy what I'm creating. You know, you guys give me so much love and let me know so much, like more validation than I could ever dream of. And it's wonderful. And I want to join you in that because it sounds fun. And when I do have those moments, like with this piece or like with the table or with this stone, I feel like I'm in it with you. You know, I'm like, yeah. Everyone's like, it's so pretty. Yeah, it is. It's really pretty. Like I can get right into it with you. And I think that's where all the fun is to be had. All right. Final set of pink swoops. Here we go. I will end up letting this dry tonight. I will varnish it tomorrow. I'm going to be listing a bunch of mugs tomorrow too. I realized that I have 7 or 8 mugs that are ready to go onto the website too. So those will be getting listed tomorrow too. Big day for photography and building up the inventory tomorrow. All right, here we go. Pink. Painstakingly slow, isn't it? Excuse me again, you guys. So sorry. There we go. That little touch up. Hopefully I don't put my hand in it again before it dries this time. Well, that's like a bent witch's finger. It does. It looks like a witch's finger. Let's fix that. Let's get rid of the knuckle. You ever have those moments where you're touching something up or you're getting in there with a bit of detail and you can hear it in the back of your brain going, just stop touching it. Just stop touching it. Just stop. Stop touching it. You're making it worse. Stop touching it. Yeah, I have that a lot. Maybe that's the other thing that I need to practice is listening to that voice. And oh my God, guys, I can't wait for you to see the next table. It looks so pretty. And swoops are the star of this next table. It's not swoopy like this is swoopy, but it's got some really nice swoops on it. I'm going to be posting the first video actually after this. I'm going to record the voiceover after we're done here, before I take little Miss Audrey back to her happy place in the camper. So that video will be, oh, crap. Shit. Stuck my hand in it again. All right, hang on. Hold, please. I should look through some of my old videos and see how many times I've caught myself swearing on them and just make a cursing video. Hi, Molly. It's good to see you. How you doing? Always love when Molly shows up, especially on Facebook. It's so nice that you can come and hang out with us again. Hang out with us here. How you doing, Molly? You doing okay? Sharon's here. Barb's here. All kinds of familiar faces, Molly. If you guys don't already know Molly, she is mallrocks.co on TikTok and mallrocks on Instagram. Are you mallrocks.co on Instagram too, Molly, or is it just mallrocks on... it's Molly's Art Shop, sorry, on Instagram. You got to see the incredible works of art that this talented young lady creates. And never mind the fact that she has an absolutely beautiful singing voice, and she has shared that on her Facebook a little bit too. You're okay? Good. Just okay? Anything we can do for you? You need some love? Oh, it's just Mall Rocks on Instagram. Okay. Perfect. So if you guys aren't already following Molly, you gotta. You are missing out by not following her and seeing her beautiful work. So here's one quick thing I want to mention just while I'm looking at it and thinking it. I will end up going in with a tiny paintbrush eventually and clearing that out. And I might go in and do the same down here, but otherwise it's looking good so far. So hold on a second, Molly. I gotta show you. Oh my gosh, Molly, I couldn't get over your voice. I was just listening to you. It was like you put me into a trance. Like, absolutely beautiful, and such a beautifully unique voice. You sounded absolutely incredible, and you could tell you were so into it. It was so fun to watch you in your element. This young lady, let me tell you, she is going places, you guys. And I am so excited that she's letting us in on the ride. Miss Molly's gonna be famous one day. You just wait. Oh, there's Sharon. How you doing, Sharon? So Molly, what do you think of this design? Molly and I have done some joint lives, and we've been talking about doing another one. I've been the one dragging my heels on that, Molly. I'm so sorry. But we are going to do more joint lives. All right. So this one, the only thing left that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some walking dots going out this way. Are we ready? We ready for pink walking dots as the finishing touch here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I count these ones to make sure that I'm going in the same, just the same distance with them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No eyes, I'm ready. Thank you. Swoopy, swoopy. Thank you, Cindy. What a wonderful way to spend an afternoon, you guys. This was so fun. I've had a blast. This is just reaffirming to me that the way that I want to do these tutorials for the next little bit, going on inspiration and not something too planned out. Today is the evidence to show that, at least for now, that's a good way to go. So we are going to keep going that way. I'm glad you guys like it. Thank you. And thank you to so many of you for sticking around for the full 2 hours with me. I hope you've had a good time. I hope this has been helpful for you. So by end of day tomorrow, this tutorial will be listed and available on the website. Or of course, it will also be posted on the Patreon. So the Patreon's the whole library of tutorials, not just individual ones like you can get on the website. And this stone might even be listed in my shop by the end of the day tomorrow too. Whole bunch of mugs going into the shop tomorrow. But yeah, I think this baby needs to go up there. I think it does. This one needs to get into a new home very soon. So there's the edge. Oh, I love it, you guys. Oh, Paula, you're getting tagged in this one, baby. Because that was Paula's idea for that pink, and holy cow. So grateful. Oh, you're welcome, Molly. You deserve every single one of them. Every single one of them. Where is my size? Which one are you? Size 4. Let's try a size 4. Let's get this center dot done. Much better. Yay! There we go, you guys. Do you feel like after doing this today, did this experience feel good to you? And do you feel like you have been armed with the knowledge to give something like this a try? Because that's the ultimate goal, right? Do you feel inspired? Do you want to give it a try? Do you have the info that you need to technically get there? How else can I help you? Okay, good. Thanks, Janice. Cindy wants to try one now. Yay! Do it. Do it. Do it. And post about it on the Facebook group. If you guys try and do one of these, you guys are not going to just try. You're going to do it and you're going to kill it. I'm sure of it. I can't wait to see what you do. So once you've done this design, if you feel comfortable, of course, would love to see you post it in the Facebook group. And please make sure you tag me if you do, okay? Because I want to see it. Oh, yay, Barb. Do you like it? I'm so glad. How do you work with spacing when doing this one? This one's a really tough one, Molly. And to be honest with you, it would be a fairly long conversation. Other than, let me talk about it with this piece, okay? So, actually, no, we're going to go back to this one. So let me run you through my thought process. Because actually, it's not as long of a conversation as I thought it was going to be. Okay, so I started off very small, right? Then I stuck with the same size tool up here, but I wanted kind of like this distance between on that first swoop. We want to still have that same distance on the next one, right? So if I want to create that same distance, even if I'm going to drag that tail down in between here, the main part of it, how can I create that same basic size as was down here? So I'm looking at just constantly, gradually increasing and looking at how much space do I have, right? Like if I had started this one up here, I would have had even more space and this would have ended up being a bigger pocket almost, right? So it's really trial and error of how can I gradually get bigger and feel like I am creating a long enough center swoop that is longer than the row before, but not so long that it looks out of place. Right? Just those gradual increases. Does that make sense, Molly? I don't know if that makes sense or not. I'm hoping to try this after class tonight when it's raining. My swoops today are amazing thanks to humidity, right? Thank God for that. Thank God for that. The negative space actually was something that just kind of happened. It wasn't planned. And then we went in and said, okay, well, maybe I'm going to mix a lighter shade. So I added these dots in the middle here, and then I was actually going to go with an even lighter shade of purple instead of the pink here, and then it was suggested to do the pink swoops. So having that accent color really makes a big difference. And again, I'm looking at this thinking, oh, teal or gold or white or any number of colors with this would work good too, right? So it's really a lot of dumb luck, honestly, Molly, because when I'm doing this, I'm looking at, I want a slightly larger one and kind of be able to visually know, am I going to be able to get 3 swoops in on each side, right? Whereas if I made it super short here, I wouldn't be able to get all 3 swoops in because I'd be on top of this one. So you know your spacing. You know with certain tools how your swoops are going to be and kind of how much space they're going to take up, right? And you know this because you've been able to look at pieces and say, nah, I don't think I have enough room for a set of swoops there. Maybe I only have enough for 1 or 2 swoops, right? So trust that gut instinct to see what this spacing is like, okay? What stones? Yes, this is a 3-inch, Jerry Lynn. This one's a 3-inch. My next stones because they have to sell. Well, and that's the thing, you know, you try it if you have an extra piece of canvas somewhere. You can always try it on something flat, right? That's what I did with my first one. This was my first one. I had no idea what was going to happen. I just went with it and hoped for the best. And that's what happened. And it was lucky and it worked out well. But you kind of have to jump in and just see how it goes. It's kind of like when you're trying to decide what size tool you're going to use for your next row of walking dots. It's very similar to that. Do I have enough room for another row of walking dots? Or I think I've got in that space, I can have a petal that will have 4 rows of walking dots. You will get to the point where you can kind of recognize how much room you'll have with this as well. And I'm going to get your stones out to you tomorrow, Molly. They will go in the mail tomorrow, so you should have them by the end of this week at the latest. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to shoot me a message and let me know. When you try this design, then please post a picture. If you feel comfortable, of course, there's no, it's not mandatory by any stretch. If you feel comfortable to post a picture on the Facebook group, I'd love to see it, and just keep playing with it. Same with all of the designs we keep doing. Keep playing with it. We're going to keep playing with this design for a while because I'm not ready to walk away from this one yet for a bit. So we'll be mixing it up a little bit. I'm not sure what next Saturday is going to be because I want to wait and see where my head is at and where my inspiration is at. So I will put up a post the day before giving a little bit more detail on what we're going to cover. So this tutorial will be available, like I said, on my website tomorrow, and it will be on the Patreon by end of day tomorrow as well. And yeah, anything comes up, you guys know where to find me. I'm so glad that we did this. This was a lot of fun. I'll post mine after the July challenge because this will be my entry. Awesome. Yay. Awesome. I'm excited. I can't wait to see. So thank you guys, as always, for coming to spend time with me and to hang out today. I really enjoyed today. This was a lot of fun, and this is the kind of fun that I want to keep having, and I hope you guys had a really good time as well. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to spending more time with you again next week. And keep an eye out on the mug parties as well. If you want to join me for a mug party, those tickets are available on my website too. I believe in the accessories section. Okay. So take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Let yourselves do some stuff that you want to do just for the joy of it. And take some good deep breaths. And I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Oh, hugs to Audrey. 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 Hi. Okay. I pissed her off enough now. She's like, what? I'm tired. Thank you guys. Sending you lots of love and lots of hugs. And we'll see you again next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye. Love ya. Mwah.